Well, here we are right now. We have snow covering part of our yard, primarily our garden area, whereas we have no snow in some other parts of our yard. The weather's been a real mix lately: snow, sunshine, rain, and we even had an extended warm period where I noticed quite a few plants were kind of perking up and greening up. But the reality is that we still have over 2 months until our last frost date, but at the same time, it's not the dead of winter. So I thought I would share with you what life is like right now in this in between time. We're starting to see more birds and to hear more birds, which is wonderful. Every day there seems to be a few more in our yard. I did move our window bird feeder, and so I've been trying to teach the birds, or to entice them, I guess, to let them know where it is now. So I've been putting seeds all over the deck, hoping that that will bring them there because we really do enjoy watching them. Our chickens are sure happy to be out in the sunshine and to be getting out and exploring again. And we're happy because they're now laying more eggs. We're getting probably about 5 or 6 a day right now. We do have the potential to have up to 11 eggs a day. So we're getting there slowly. We are on the last jar of our water glassed eggs, and it has been a fantastic resource for us through the winter. We have not bought eggs once this winter, which is just amazing. We did have to really cut back our egg usage. We kept the fresh ones, which we were getting only about one a day for a special egg sandwich on the weekend. The rest of the time, I would use the water glass eggs for things like baking, like I'm doing here with my daughter, or if we wanted to have quiche or scrambled eggs, because they do have a different texture, but also I wanted to preserve them and make them last as long as possible. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. Particularly this being our first winter with chickens, I kind of have a better idea now what I need to prepare for next winter, as well as changing up some of the feed for our chickens during the winter. So hopefully we can maintain getting at least 2 eggs a day through the winter for them. As the daytime temperatures are increasing, and it's pretty much always above freezing right now during the day, we don't have our wood stove going 24/7, so we only turn it on usually in the evening and then let it kind of burn through the night and die out in the early morning, which means I don't have the heat source to hang my laundry in front of anymore. So I've started going back to hanging our laundry on the laundry line outside. I do still use the dryer for things that are like a thicker material or just things I know will take a long time to dry, because hanging it outside, it does work, by the way, if you're wondering, when it's cold out. The sun will help when it's sunny, but the wind helps to dry it. But it does take a good amount of time, so I still do use the dryer for some items. During this in-between time for canning, it gives me time to go find all the jars that have ended up in just the most random places in my pantry, as I've asked my children to bring them down and put them away for me. So I like to gather the jars in one spot. That way I know as canning season comes what I have and where they are, so it's easy to find. But also it makes me condense the food we have together as well to make space for the jars. And then I know kind of what we have, what we need to get eating, what we maybe don't need to preserve as much of next year. There's some things I'm surprised, like we have quite a bit of pumpkin, as well as applesauce, which is actually from 2022. And we have quite a bit of diced tomatoes left, whereas we're almost completely out of pizza sauce and enchilada sauce. So that lets me know that next year I definitely need to do more of those prepared sauces and fewer of the diced tomatoes. We're also getting low on jam, so I need to make sure I have that on my list for next year. And just condensing it down Again, it's just that visual reminder of what we have and what we need to use up. I did want to share with you that we've made a change in terms of paper towel usage. I picked up some, they're called cloth paper towels. We use them as napkins though. They have been fantastic. They have reduced our need for paper towels and saved us so much money already. I do wish that they all came in a darker color, but so far they've worked well. Something that we decided to try this year was to purchase meat in bulk. So we recently got a half of a pig. It was 169 pounds as the hanging weight, if I remember correctly. I I know some recipes with pork, but I've never been a huge pork eater, and so this is a bit of a test for me to see how we can use it and if it will actually save our family some money doing meat this way. I have never cooked a pork chop until this week, so if you have any pork chop recipes, please leave them down below. One that is our favorite though is Kailua pork, which I'm making here. It's super easy. You just put some liquid smoke and a really good dose of salt on your meat. And then you can either slow cook it for like 8 hours or I pressure cook this one and it'll come off being super tender and just falling off the bone. I am finding that with our family size, we're kind of in between the portions that the butcher has given us. So, like this was, I needed to use 2 of the shoulder roasts in order to feed our family, but it was a little bit too much. So, some people had it for leftovers the next day. So, I'm still learning kind of how to cook the pork and the different portions. But yeah, what you can see here is I'm just going to take it out and it's really soft and juicy and falling apart. I'm going to take the bone that's there out and then chop it all up, put it back in, and then we usually just eat it with some rice and some soy sauce. On this day I had some extra veggies as well. Or we've eaten it with yams as well. That's another way to do it. Or you could even put it on top of nachos or on a baked potato. But we typically just eat it with rice because that's the way that my family prefers it. We have a quarter of a cow coming later this week, and that one's going to be about 145 pounds. So we'll see how that works out for us as well. This time of year is also really big in terms of homeschool planning. I am looking forward to the summertime and making sure that I have the resources and everything ready to go for my kids in the summer, which I will do a video on in the future here about what we're doing, but also towards the fall and the next school year. I'm looking at different options, different curriculum, doing research. I'm trying to gather the curriculum, looking at different sales, which are around this time of year. I'm printing whatever I can and binding it, just getting everything ready, getting our schedule together. I will have a printable schedule coming out soon in my Etsy store if you're interested. But really, I'm just trying to get ahead so that when gardening and canning and preserving season come, I don't need to worry about the homeschool side. It will be there and ready to go in September when we're ready to jump into it without having to put too much thought into it. One thing that I tried recently was sprouting mustard seeds, and I really enjoyed the way that they turned out. I like them on sandwiches or in salads. It was just a really nice way to add some fresh greens when it's wintertime still. So I am anxiously looking forward to when we move into the spring. I am working on my garden plan right now. I will put a video out once I've made kind of the final decisions. I really want to take my time this year and make sure that I'm focusing on both the companion planting side, so not just like a bed is one thing, but really integrating those plants and making them as pest resistant as possible and beneficial to each other, but at the same time also planting what we eat and what we need to preserve. So thanks so much for coming along as I shared what life is like right now in that in between, not deep winter, not yet spring, just that kind of in between time. I hope that this finds you having a great day as always. Take care.